It started in the forest. These two apes of non real species were practicing hunting with their unique bow weapons. It wasn't a normal bow, there was no arrow. The drawstring was elastic, and there was a second elastic tied to the middle of the bow that ended in a rubber piece. The rubber piece was shaped a bit smaller than a hemisphere, so not quite flat on the larger side. And the smaller side had a circular hole in it. The middle of the bow, just below this attachment, was a wooden handle that went out sideways, so you'd hold it with your palm facing down instead of toward the string. They drew the elastic strong, mostly normal, but with their thumb in the little rubber hemisphere, which didn't stretch as far back as the bigger elastic string. When they released, both went together. The elastic string didn't go past the wooden bow, but the rubber thing did. It stretched out in a serpent like string and snapped at a bunny, stunning it but not killing it. Then one of these apes jumped and grabbed the bunny before it could recover. The other ape struggled with the aim, and his bunny got away. "I'll get it eventually," he said, while secretly thinking there must be a better way. Sometime later, there was a meeting amongst all the ape species, and they decided this new species was too dangerous and needed to be kept inside. They went peacefully, but not long after they noticed more of the smaller apes being led into the prison with them. Tarsiers and monkeys and bush babies and other small apes, until the only ones remaining outside were gorilla, chimpanzee, bonobo, and orangutan. When the gorilla guard came in to lock up the bonobo, the new species talked to him and convinced him that the people inside were not the dangerous ones. It was actually the chimps that were dangerous. He locked up the bonobo, but said he would talk with the others. The next day, a group of gorillas and orangutans came and let everyone out, and they all confronted the chimpanzees, who were eating rabbits at the time. Most of the apes were repulsed by this. The chimps were eating the bunnies without checking for breeding females to repopulate the forest. Irresponsible, reckless. Cries jeered out from the crowd, and the chimps were ashamed. They agreed to be locked up and re-educated. While they were locked up, everyone had a feast and a party. There were a few humans left, but they seemed to be all men, so they wouldn't be able to breed. The apes were sad about this. The loss of a fellow species would be very painful for all. The humans didn't seem to mind. They were just enjoying the party. Most were wearing medieval chestplate armor, and two of them were missing their heads. One with a head got very queasy and was stumbling around as if drunk. He kept trying to make it outside or to a bathroom, but then his nausea would subside and he'd return to his seat at the log table. Until, one time, he didn't make it. He looked at one of the headless men and said, "It is time." The headless suit of armor with a red cape appeared to nod or bow slightly, and removed a thin paper hat that covered the neck hole in the chestplate. The queasy man put his own head in the hole and made heaving sounds. His gloved hands seemed to evaporate. The gaps in his armor started to fold, and when the sound ended, his wardrobe collapsed to the ground, empty. A slightly different but very similar face was now visible on the one with the paper hat. He shed a tear and looked to the remaining headless man. "Just the two of us clones left. We likely don't have much more than a century left." Then he glanced to the half-dozen headed men who had taken off their hats and held them against their chests. "'Tis a sad thing, ancestor. Perhaps the youngest among us may even outlive you now. Much as we do not want to lose you." One of the older silverback gorillas stood on his hind legs and walked over to the newly rejuvenated man and hugged him firmly. "It was hard to see you in such poor health. I am glad to see the young you once more before my time ends."